Good morning. An all-time high. Hi. Speaking of high. Okay,
No,
that's
I'm
our
recording.
topic today. Oh.
I wasn't recording.
Oh. Well, I was. You never know when we might get a gem. An ad-lib gem. Oh.
I'm kind of off today. I just got home from work. And
You got off work and you're off to see the wizard. I'm a little off too. Uh-oh, this is going to be an awful episode.
episode 49.
Oh my.
And I think episode 50 is going to be a clip show, right? In the grand TV tradition.
That'd be funny. I'd like to, but I don't
That's
know how
more
long
work
that
than
would take
making a real one, though.
I think that would be an editing nightmare. It could be funny though.
This could be a narrating nightmare, I reckon. This is Timbo, and we're going to be having a hoop it up today with some Sleepy Time lemonade and Wild West talk, westerns. Or at least one western. They're not going to talk the whole day about a western, but just most of it.
Jeez.
Well, okay, I'm
Is this
back in
thing
the
on?
kitchen tonight.
Back in the kitchen again, where the ice machine's John's only friend. You're not outside.
No, I wanted to go
too
outside,
hot.
but it's not actually that. It's like it's kind of threatening to rain.
Threatening to rain.
But of course, now that I set up inside, it's not going to.
Right. That's our Western idea. Threatening to rain. Dun, 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 dun.
And I wanted to try this new Wi-Fi setup I did and see if it worked out there well.
Oh,
So I
yeah.
couldn't do
You
that.
were talking about doing something different.
Yeah, I replaced my old router with a new one that has three pods to it. I'm a pod person.
In a hive mind.
So basically, one of them is where the old router was.
Yeah.
You know, it's plugged into the modem and all that stuff like you usually do. And then it's got two satellite units that I put in other parts of my home.
Sounds like a good idea.
And it kind of makes the network a lot better. So,
Satellite of Love. You know that song?
yeah. Of course,
my
I always
favorites.
think of Mystery Science Theater 3000 when you say that. But
Oh, I don't have any relation to that with that song. I just think of the song.
yeah.
So did they reference that in the show?
No, because
I've seen a couple.
the little ship where Joel and whoever and the robots are is called the Satellite of Love.
Oh, okay. I
See?
Satellites go up to Mars.
Yeah.
Well,
So there.
so there. Jinx.
Otherwise, yeah, I'm back at work. I'm still getting used to it. That sounds so lazy. That I'm
Well-
not used to having to go to work.
It's you're adjusting,
Yeah.
readjusting. No, I get it. I mean, I don't know. There are days where I'm still getting used to it, I guess. I don't know. It seems it isn't like really weird every time. It's just
No. Some of it's very familiar, but we're doing like you. We're doing all this preparation for students sort of coming back, and everybody around me and the ones I talk to at least are kind of in this weird mood. I don't want to say morale is bad, but it's also just what's going to happen. Nobody quite knows.
I can't think of the word for it, and there is probably a word in French, but it's not like low morale, and it's not like completely defeated. It's not like super depressed. It's just this kind of, it's like that kind of sound. It's all the way I don't know. I mean, some days are different, and I got a lot done today, and hey, I'm all excited. But a lot of the time, I'm just like, it's not going through the motions. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, because the people I'm working with are doing a lot of work.
Yeah, we're working hard.
Even if I'm not. No, I'm just kidding.
You will be.
No, don't worry. Of course, things were so frozen over the summer.
Right.
And now it's
So
hurry up
you're
and
kind
get
of
stuff
thawing.
done. And now it's frozen too. No. Our podcast is now available on Disney Plus.
Yay! The animated version.
It's true. It's true.
Boing, boing, boing. We need more sound effects. So there.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think I've said that too many times today already.
I'll cut
This
those
episode is called So There.
Okay. What are we?
Where am I?
I have not.
Where
I
am
did not go to Rapid City last week.
Oh, okay.
Update there. Thinking back to the previous episodes. So that's good. What are you drinking? I heard your glass.
Well,
you got something.
I had a Miracle on Ice. Liftbridge evidently does this. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't put it on ice, but I had an iced or chilled glass. No, it's Liftbridge puts this out once a year. I think it's to raise money for charities or something. Or yeah, it's based on that. The big hockey win against the Ruskies. So,
and remind people what Liftbridge is.
Liftbridge is a brewery in Stillwater, I believe. Oh, and it's based on the Lift Bridge in Stillwater, so it must be. It's a famous old bridge
Sounds like a good name for a beer.
that lifts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a golden lager, they called it, and it was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna go. Fortunately, they were selling you can just buy just one if you wanted, so I didn't buy a whole 6-pack, but
That's a nice
I
way
would
to
have
try
drank
things,
it.
isn't it?
yeah, I would have drank the whole 6-pack. Maybe not today, but
Maybe not today.
But now
that's a lot of beer to drink in one
I don't
evening.
think I've heard of people that can drink like a case or something.
I know. It's not
I don't think
because the alcohol is so bad, although that's quite a bit of booze, but it just fills me up. So I'll drink one bottle of cider or beer or something like that, and it's like,
I don't know. If I was going to get drunk, it wouldn't be just drinking as many beers as I could.
that sounds awful.
That's a lot of work.
I mean, getting completely wasted on whiskey isn't much fun either, though.
no.
That stuff can do a number on you.
Well, sure. I mean, there have been a few times where I've had a higher proof thing and not really paid attention, and
Yeah.
you get a little whoops. There you go. But now I have a I hadn't had Bullet or Bullet or whatever it's called. How do you
I
pronounce
just call
it?
it Bullet. The old frontier people wouldn't call it Bulliet or whatever.
Bullet. 95
Unless they're
rye
in-
I'm doing.
Pure South Dakota.
They're peering into their glass of Bullet rye.
Mm-hmm.
No,
So you're
It's
doing
good.
the rye or the bourbon?
the rye.
Okay, I think that's the better choice.
Yeah, I like rye. Anyway, that's what I have.
Yeah,
What do you got? Anything? Nothing
so
yet. You just got home.
I poured myself something, but so on our last episode, the one before, actually that's 2 episodes ago. No,
Now we
since we're
can't keep track of the days. Or
I don't know what I'm talking about. I brought up this scotch called the Wee Beastie,
right?
and I said, this sounds really cool and everything, and I'm not going to buy it because I have too much scotch in the house. But
Sure.
this past weekend, we had a big storm, and it knocked our electricity out for almost 2 days. And we went out just to go somewhere because what are you going to do?
At least it wasn't
and I was
incredibly
near
hot that day.
near a liquor store that had it, and I just said, well, screw it. I'm gonna buy it.
Have you tasted it yet?
So yes, I've tried it a couple times, and I have had a glass. So as a reminder, it's an Ardbeg, which is an Islay Scotch. It's very very smoky, peaty, kind of in the Laphroaig or Lagavulin family.
Is that smoky?
It's up there. I think it's, if I don't remember what its parts per million are, but I think it's in between Lagavulin and Laphroaig, so it's pretty high.
Wow.
And I've had a couple of their other versions. This one, as I mentioned before, it's a 5-year-old, so the wee part of it.
Right.
Their standard version is 10-year, and then they have a few others that are either older or don't have age statements, but I think they're older. 5 years is pretty young for Scotch.
Okay.
The minimum is 3.
Huh.
So this one is I think it was done as a special bottling that they decided to make part of the permanent lineup. Oh. And I'd heard a few people talk about it, but it's the great thing about it is that its price is pretty good. I think I paid $40 for it, which for a high quality smoky Scotch these days is pretty good.
Yeah.
It's also non-chill filtered, and no artificial color, so it's got a nice pale natural color to it.
Just like these two lily livers.
Okay.
Which I appreciated. More on the chill filter thing, I think, is more important, but it's got all that, and it's also at let me double check. It's 47.4% alcohol.
Okay.
Again, the minimum for Scotch is 40. And most people consider a 40% Scotch to be a little bit on the anemic side. You get a little more flavor if it gets up to 45 or a little higher. So this is good. It's a nice presentation. I think one of the things that's different about it is the standard version is, I believe, just aged in ex-bourbon oak barrels, like kind of standard issue Scotch thing. And I think this one has spent part of its time in some ex-sherry barrels also. So it has a little bit of a fruit. It's like a piece of fruit that's caught fire.
Roasted peach. No, I don't know.
Yeah, it has a huge...
I've grilled fruit sometimes.
Huge nose. It just really... And, I've had...
Kind of like a Carl Malden nose.
Yeah, that's a good segue.
We'll save it, though.
Yeah, you can go look it up if you want to hear more about this one, but it's very, very nice. It has, a huge peaty smoke hit.
Is that all the flavor you're getting, or what other things you're getting? Is it just... you're just getting smoke? There must be... What are some other things
that's...
The fruit? You get the fruit? I
get a little bit of a fruit in with the smoke. And Lagavulin, which is the one I've had most recently that's in its category, I think. That one has a richer flavor that kind of stays with you longer. This one, I think maybe it's because it's a younger whiskey, but it kind of... The flavor kind of hits you quickly and disappears.
Oh, sad.
Well, it's just different. I
know.
It also doesn't cost $80 or $90 either.
Right.
But
Which
I
is
like
fine.
it. I think Ardbeg is generally a good one, and if you like this kind of Scotch, I'd say at least try the 10-year version, which is usually pretty reasonable. And they have some other interesting ones, but that's what I've got.
With a name like Wee Beastie, I want to try that.
They come up with these clever names. the other versions are named after Gaelic, myths and stuff that are near them in Scotland, like the one that's called the Corrie Vrecken.
No,
that's a monster whirlpool somewhere near the island, and
oh yeah, okay.
They've got stuff like that's put a fancy name on it with a stupid story, and the smoky salt water drowns you in flavor.
It's not like the Purple Death notes, but
not quite. I mean, obviously, Purple Death was obviously making fun of snobby wine
itself.
tasting, but
yeah.
Scotch definitely could be taken down a peg too.
Yeah, you can have some fun with Wee Beastie.
No,
Wee Beastie.
So very, very nice. I enjoy it.
So I had a weird incident.
Go ahead.
I had a weird incident. One thing I was going to ask Glenda, or a former guest here, or a previous guest, was we didn't have time. We can bring her on again some other day. But
and the episode was 8 hours long.
Right. So I mean, it was almost as long as the original cut of One Eye Jacks.
Terrible.
I'm just gonna have all these different segues. No, but I that we won't follow. She's talked to, or I mentioned on Facebook, she does a lot of baking and cooking and stuff, and she's mentioned some kitchen mishaps. Well, I had a kitchen mishap. So I had the frozen pizza, and it was not frozen anymore because it was cooked. But I took it out of the oven, and lots of matzah. I think that's my favorite.
I've had that a number of times. Yeah,
I think that sausage. The kids and I really like that a lot.
Actually, do you guys ever get the latza hatza one? Have you seen that one?
No.
That's it. Maybe your kids wouldn't be into it, but
probably not.
It's got spicy pepper and peppers on it. It's good. I really like it, but not all establishments carry it.
The last, I haven't tried a lot of their other versions because we just like the sausage so much. But the first time I had it was at Connie and Sean's, our listeners here, and it was really good. But they do put peppers on. They put before they cook it, they put on those little yellow ones from a jar or some
pepperoncinos.
I don't. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And they can correct me if I'm wrong on the comments. But
they're going to be our sponsor.
Good. So I pulled it out of the oven. Maybe not after this story because I have a potential lawsuit. No, I'm kidding. But I pulled it out of the oven, and I don't cook it directly on the rack. I have this metal thing that works fine, and with little holes in the bottom so the heat can get through there easier or something. I don't know, but whatever. And but sometimes the cheese on the end of the pizza, a little stick on the side so it won't slide right off onto the cutting board. And so, I'll use the pizza cutter around the side to loosen it up, and then it slides off. But sometimes you got to chop a little bit. So I was chopping away at some cheese, and a tiny little piece of hot, hardened black or browned, dark brown, crispy cheese flew up into my right eye, and it burned a little bit.
Ooh,
and it kind of,
that's bad luck.
And it stung. And it's one of those deals when you injure your eye, it feels like the thing's still in there, but I don't think it is. So, but that's my kitchen mishap story. If you're listening, Glenda, there I have one too. So, I didn't burn my kitchen down, but I mean she didn't either exactly. I think she has several kitchen fire stories. I don't know. I just burned my eye. Aye, sir. I think John thought that story was going to go a little longer and left. He's running around the block.
I'm sorry, I was muted.
Oh. That's the...
Well,
what
I was saying probably doesn't matter, but...
That's like the Zoom, or the somebody was saying that's the line of 2020 is, I was something like that.
It probably is, right? That and Zoom bombing.
Wow. I never had that happen.
What I was going to say is that I have trouble baking those pizzas at home because my oven somehow overcooks the top and undercooks the crust.
Oh.
And
you do it? Have you ever done it directly on the?
Well, that's what I usually do, is right on the rack.
And it still won't get the. It still won't.
It doesn't get hot. And I think part of the problem is that my oven may not be super accurate, and it's also one of those convection style ones where the element isn't like right, or the heat source isn't like right under the pizza.
Okay.
So I got to keep working on that, but they never turn out well.
Even if you put it on lower, even if you put it lower on the rack.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to matter where I put it.
That's not what she said.
Oh, I don't know much about convention ovens. Convection ovens. I said convention. Haha. DNC. No.
The best luck I've had is Pizza Stone. But you have to really heat those up, and sometimes if I let the thing thaw partially or something, it'll cook better. But it's sad. Although when we were hanging out with no electricity for 2 days, the one thing we could use to cook was our gas grill.
Right.
So that's handy. And
sure.
So I needed to use up some stuff in my freezer that was about to go bad. So I had a cheap frozen pizza and some burgers or something. It's like I just cooked them, and
sure.
I put the frozen pizza on there, which it was pretty much thawed. It was still cold, and it almost burnt up on the bottom, but I pulled it off just in time, and actually it was great.
Oh, weird.
And it was one of those crappy Red Baron pizzas with just cheese on it.
Yeah, sure.
Strangely good, though. I don't know.
Strangely good.
The best cheap pizza I've had, aside from maybe a Totino's with the little square pepperonis. Right. There's something about that if you cook them right.
I don't know.
They're their own category. We've talked about pizza before, but they're kind of their own category of pizza.
I guess that's a nostalgic thing, too, because I remember those little pizzas.
Mm-hmm.
I may not like them if I never had them when I was a kid. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure that's true. I mean, they're awful.
They're awful.
They're bloody awful. The other brand we have around here that I think is good is called Hedgies.
Ah, yeah. I've had that at a bar somewhere.
Yeah, I think they're the American Legion pizza or something like that, where if you don't really have, you can't make your own, you just heat those up in a pizza oven.
Yeah.
Behind the bar.
Yeah. Some bars have little tiny pizza ovens instead of like a whole kitchen or something. They just
they're good.
I have food,
and they're made in Minnesota.
I don't know for sure if I've had one of those. I almost bought one of those instead of a Lots of Mozza.
They're a little expensive. I think if you don't get them on sale, they're almost $10 a piece. I think, which is a lot.
Well,
for frozen,
I don't know. I don't mind spending a little more on groceries right now for some things, just because I'm not going out to eat hardly ever. So it's like I'm going to splurge a little bit on this frozen pizza. Normally, I would never have done that.
I know, and
I'm so cheap.
And I can be cheap about the dumbest thing. In fact, I get a lot of flack from here in the home front about being penny wise and pound foolish. Or is it the other way around? Something like that. Anyway, so we have a movie to talk about tonight that I recently watched, and I think you did not too long ago, right?
Well, I saw it. I don't know how long ago I saw it, but I saw it when you first put it on your Plex. But so it had been a while ago that I've seen it, but I ended up rewatching it because I knew you wanted to talk about it. But what you're reading a book right now, though. What's that book called? I forgot.
It's funny. I happen to have it right in front of me. This was suggested by my brother Rob.
Frequent guest.
Yeah, he is. He's a two-timer. It's called Sixguns and Society. And
it's kind of like a film studies book more.
It is definitely an academic book. And it had the academic high price. which was like $30 for a not very big paperback.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
And no Kindle, no nothing. It's just I mean, it was published in the 1970s.
Sixguns and Society.
A Structural Study of the Western by Will Wright, Wright.
Well, maybe my library has it or something.
I did look, actually. After all, I'm pound foolish. But
Although this might be a good one to have, it sounds like, to go
yeah,
back to.
it's interesting. You can go look it up, but it's the author basically, and I'm sure I'm butchering this, but he kind of breaks the old American myth idea, almost the Joseph Campbell kind of thing.
Sure.
And writes a book about the American Western film and how it fits into our American cultural myth. So he breaks the Western up into 4 different categories. And what they are is the classical plot, which is movies like, what's one everybody knows, Shane or something like that, where there's a protecting the innocent farmers or that kind of thing. There's usually a showdown with the bad guys.
Kind of the Seven Samurai thing? No, that's different. When people come to town.
Yeah, that's a different category actually.
Yeah.
And as an example, some of the movies the thing is, what he did is he went through all of the top grossing Western films from the 1930s through the early 1970s, and decided to focus on maybe 4 to 5 for each category and write extensively. Although he did categorize many of them, but he only wrote in detail about 4 or 5 for each category. So an example of that would be obviously Shane, Duel in the Sun, Dodge City, Canyon Passage, things like that. The next one is called The Vengeance Variation.
Sure.
That one includes the movie we're discussing, One-Eyed Jacks, Stagecoach, the famous John Wayne film. Includes The Man from Laramie.
Sean's
not from Laramie.
I know. The Man from Torrington.
That's the sequel, The Man from Torrington.
Let's do that one.
Taco John's. Yeah.
We should do a Western starring Sean. That would be great.
He could totally do a Western.
Sean played the heavy in Scenes from a Reggae Western by David Daniels and Phil Hunter. I'm sure Phil remembers that. And maybe Sean does too. And back in the day, Rob wrote a script for a Western called The Cowboy Code, kind of a Western radio idea as well. And they wrote a song, Phil wrote a song called The Cowboy Code, and Christian E. did some of the music.
Oh, man. All right.
The other two are the transition theme, which is movies are about societal change, and like it includes really basic plot points like the transition of the Wild West from ranchers and cowboys to farmers and the railroad and all that stuff.
Yeah, the railroad's coming to town.
Yep.
Blazing Saddles.
Exactly. Actually, that I bet if he had looked at that film the right way, he could have put it in this category.
That wasn't the 70s. Was it?
Yeah, Blazing Saddles the 70s.
Well, that was grossing.
I don't know if I don't think he probably didn't include it because it was a comedy, but yeah, I've seen that movie critically analyzed, and it's actually really interesting.
Yeah.
Not only from a Western's plot point, but also from a racial standpoint.
Oh well, yeah,
obviously, but no, it's actually very. It holds up to scrutiny pretty well in that way. But and some of the movies in this that he writes about are High Noon, of course, Johnny Guitar.
That's next on
How
my
the
list.
West Was Won, and Broken Arrow. And like, for example, Broken Arrow is this Jimmy Stewart Western. I think it came out in 1950. And it's one of these ones where the hero has kind of a change of attitude regarding something. And in this case, it's the American Indian.
Okay.
And all that stuff due to something happening. So there are lots of interesting stuff there. When you see Johnny Guitar, you'll see exactly how it fits in there, too, because that's got another one of those progress and civilization coming out and people who want to resist it.
And nasty women. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Strong women equals nasty in some people's vernacular.
And the last one is called The Professional Plot.
Oh? What's that? Are you gone?
Okay.
Plot. I think.
All right.
And then
I
speculated.
just restarted my recording because I'm drunk or something. I don't know.
Already?
No, that's the bad part. I'm not. I don't know. I just don't know, Phil.
So you are recording now?
Yes, I'm recording now.
Well, I have been, so this is going to be a weird one for you to edit. When you do the
it's going to be like 5 minutes long by the time I'm done.
When you do the
like
first...
Scotch, the end. Here's a song.
I thought it'd be funny to have a really short episode and a really long song, but this won't be it.
Yeah, but you got to do the song, or you could just write a 30-second song and repeat it 50 times.
No, I was thinking some prog rock thing.
Oh, that's a lot of work, man.
Not the way I do it.
The last one
still would be.
The last category is called the professional plot, which is probably where
I speculated
the
what you were that meant.
Magnificent Seven / Seven Samurai, whatever fits in. A bunch of gunfighters are hired to do something.
Save the town or drive out the bad guys.
It includes Rio Bravo, which I have not watched yet, sadly.
No?
The Professionals, which I think he almost had to use that one. That's a movie I haven't seen but have heard of.
That may have what he came up with the name for.
And The Wild Bunch.
Oh, yeah, The Wild Bunch. I remember that.
And Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Oh,
so
okay. That's not a group of guys, though.
Well, it doesn't have to be a group.
No, I thought it had to be at least 5 people.
It also includes True Grit. Remember that one?
True Grit. Okay, right. That's only one guy.
Because so I think it can be one.
It's not based on numbers. No, True Grit, and then the remake, the Coen Brothers remake. Did you see that one?
I did. I've only seen that one. Haven't watched the John Wayne version yet.
Actually, I don't think I've seen the John Wayne version either.
No, well, I will be watching it.
That was good. But so One-Eyed Jacks is if it didn't have the cast it had, and if it didn't have the locations and the nice, the wonderful cinematography and that kind of thing, I think the movie would have been just kind of there. I don't know even though the script had about 130 people working on it, including like Rod Serling and Sam Peckinpah and
a lot of people took
other names I don't remember.
Worked on drafts of it, and I think, and apparently Stanley Kubrick was going to direct it for a while, and that would have been weird. Well,
and he brought in his own screenwriter from Paths of Glory, or I couldn't remember that name.
So, to back this up a little bit, One-Eyed Jacks, 1961 Western. It's the only film Marlon Brando ever directed. And actually, it's very good, but it has a couple of aspects that are somewhat infamous. One of them is that it went wildly over budget. It's said that he shot over 1 million feet of film.
Yeah, and it was like the studio was expecting it to be about 1.8, and it came out to be about 6. And
yep, tons of money was spent on this film. It was shot in this big film format called VistaVision, which, and again, it uses about twice as much as standard 35 millimeter film does. And it was filmed in a lot of cool locations, mostly in California, but it looks beautiful. It really does.
Oh, it's a beautiful looking movie. It actually was filmed in another format at the same time, VistaVision and something else, but I can't remember.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if the entire movie was filmed by in two formats.
I might have forgotten that.
Well, in some ways, the making of the movie is almost more interesting than the movie. But and there's a whole book on that, A Million Feet of Film.
Yeah, exactly. And the guy who wrote that, who's on that little documentary that you watched, I heard on a podcast recently.
Oh, right.
Who was a guest on somebody's film-related podcast, and he's done a bunch of like research and commentary tracks on movies and stuff like that. He's a Western aficionado.
Yeah.
But the movie itself is in some ways pretty conventional, although again it does have a great cast. Brando kind of had his pick of people that he really liked, including his friend Carl Malden, as we mentioned, with his big nose.
And when Stanley Kubrick was involved, I guess his only legacy on the movie that was left over was some of the casting, because I think he brought on Slim Pickens.
Slim Pickens, who is actually great, and he's a little different. Ben Johnson, who's in a lot of westerns as kind of a lot of secondary parts, but he's well known if you see very many westerns. Katie Jurado, sorry, she's been in a lot of stuff too. But the interesting thing about the casting is how well Brando and Carl Malden play off each other.
Yeah, that is really...
That part blew me away. I mean, the scenes with Carl Malden has a few signature roles, and I think this is one of them, and probably the other one is on The Waterfront, where he plays the priest.
That's where they became friends, I guess, Marlon Brando and Carl. That's why he wanted... Because Kubrick wanted, like, Spencer Tracy or something for that role.
Oh, that would have been... I mean, I like Spencer Tracy, but I can't imagine it.
An interaction between Marlon Brando and... But see, I think this movie came into... I think it's at a crossroads era or period between... I think Westerns were changing from the 50s, and also the studio system was kind of collapsing, and there was these celebrity studio things backed by studios. But I think... So transitions is the word I was looking for. And Marlon Brando was kind of in a transition, I think, into his, the early Marlon Brando and the later Marlon Brando.
Well, you notice the movie he went on and did after this is the Mutiny on the Bounty version that he made.
Yeah.
And that's definitely one of the the films where he kind of goes super eccentric.
Yeah. Well, he was flirting with that in this movie. And I think I mean, his voice was so strange. I don't know. I wouldn't call it an accent, but
I don't know what accent he has in this movie.
I don't know. I think it was just something he was doing with his voice that was different. Well, you go over there, but he wasn't. It wasn't like a hick. I did it exaggerated. It wasn't like a hick kind of voice. It's just very odd. But he made several strange choices. But I think this is where he was starting to get a more loose, as you might say, with acting.
And apparently he did as he directed. There was lots of improvisation,
right?
Which doesn't surprise me at all. But
well, that's part of the reason, because they were filming. That's part of the reason there was so much footage, is they were filming a lot of the improvisation, and it was like, so they'd film all day, and then they'd use the improv to base, the script rewrites, and then they'd refilm, and it was a long process. And I guess Brando was very meticulous. And
as a political writer, I says, it's no way to run a railroad. I love that expression. He uses it once in a while, usually talking about Trump or something. That's no way to run a railroad.
I think the improv, and the real life relationship between Carl Malden and Marlon Brando is, I think that feeds into this improv, and it adds that realism, or that, I don't want to say naturalism, but it's very naturalistic. I think the movie is also known for its authentic dialogue, because especially when you have like Ben Johnson and Slim Pickens and stuff like that ad-libbing, I mean, it's going to be pretty authentic, I guess.
Yeah, they were both cowboys.
Yeah.
Or rodeo people or something like that. But
sure.
I really liked it. I'm looking forward to watching it again because I think there's things to pick up at a second time watching it. And it does have a somewhat conventional plot where the two outlaws get cornered and one of them abandons the other one, and Brando's character goes to the dad.
Somebody has daddy issues.
So Carl Malden's character's name is Dad.
I mean, how obvious is that?
And I just love it, and I think part of the reason that, and I don't know if Brando came up with that, but I just want to believe that Brando named the guy Dad so he could just sound cool. You know what, Dad?
Yeah, and he was the kid.
Use that, and the way he does it when he's speaking his lines and he addresses Dad is just great. I just love it. I mean, you get after the first few times, it's just like, wait, his name is Dad, literally.
It's like they're hitting the Freudian stuff over there.
Oh,
and Brando did have a role in the script. I mean,
he obviously had a lot of control. But then there's the fact that he ends up hooking up with Carl Malden's adopted daughter.
Yeah,
that whole thing, and she's really good too. The actress who played her, apparently she was mostly an unknown at that point.
I think she was a Mexican actress. Mm-hmm. I think she had only done like a remake of Diary of Anne Frank or something. But she was really nervous, I guess, in the making of this, and she didn't know English, so they kind of set her up in a hotel for a while to learn English. And I think over the course of the movie, her acting gets a lot better. I don't want to say wooden at first, but and of course it wasn't filmed in order at all, but
she comes off to me as pretty genuine.
Oh yeah, especially at the end there.
It definitely. It's a little weird because Brando looks and acts older than I think his character is supposed to be.
Yeah,
and she seems younger than she actually is.
Right.
So that there's kind of a disconnect there, but
and the movie took so long. I mean, he did like 3 films during the making of this movie. So, I mean, he did age, and of course, there's the jokes about he gained quite a bit of weight. And
don't feed the director.
That's what the sign said.
That's why we like those the behind the scene video things.
Well, yeah, I mean, at one point, like he had a bed brought on to the set so he could sleep there. I mean, and he's going through a divorce, and I don't know which came first. But
another reason this movie kind of had a lot of history behind it is because it didn't do super well when it came out, and the studio I think Brando's production company actually owned the thing in the end, but whoever owned the film.
Pennebaker Studios
did not. Yeah, they and I think they ended up with it. Paramount made the thing and probably put up the money, but his production company, I think, owned the film after a certain point, and they did not renew its copyright.
Right, and it kind of went into like.
Well, it went into public domain, and usually what that means is that when it isn't under copyright anymore, anybody can distribute copies of it, and all the video versions were really, really crummy quality because the studio or the production company had the original film negative.
Yeah.
And there's no incentive to put out a high quality version if it's just going to be copied and sold for $2 at Walmart or something like that.
Yeah.
And so for a long time, there were no good copies of it. And then
some of them were just made off of a laser disc.
Yeah, that was the best quality version. It's kind of like the old Star Wars unaltered versions that.
Like you could buy a videotape that was a copy of a laser disc.
Yep, or the Star Wars Holiday Special. And
in this division.
And finally, I think Spielberg and Scorsese and a few bigwigs who were fans of the film put up some of their money to have the film restored. And they must have figured out a way to re-register it or something, as I assumed that it's not public domain anymore. But that's something that doesn't happen that often, which is so I think it's pretty cool. And it looks immaculate. The photography, the outdoor scenery looks like it could have been shot yesterday.
Right. I would have been interested. It would be interesting to see the. I don't think there's more footage anywhere. But supposedly
8-hour
the 5
cut?
hours. I don't think I'd want to watch the 8-hour version, but
No.
the 8-hour version of David Lynch's Dune, or what was the maximum one on that one? 12 hours.
There was a there was that version that was on TV. I think. Is that the one that he took his name off? The Alan Smithee cut.
Yeah.
Wee Beastie.
Oh, well.
I gotta have a little more.
Well, there's some cool scenes in the movie too. So I did rewatch it, so I watched it twice now, and you kind of catch different things that you may have missed at first. So in the first bank robbery scene, Brando's eating bananas. He's sitting there just kind of keeping an eye on the ladies, and
he's actually a real fucker in that beginning section.
Oh yeah, he's creepy. He's very creepy, and he's guarding the ladies, and he's got this kind of voice from ladies. I can't even do it, but it's like I'm making fun of him, but I can't do a subtle version. But so he's eating bananas, and he throws a peel on the scale there at the bank, and then he has another peel and throws it on the other side. And the second bank robbery, which he isn't there. That's a different story.
Did you recognize the bank teller?
Well, yes, but
Elijah Cook Jr.
I'm not sure. Is he the guy that had a lot of characters where he was? No, I'm confusing the guy from WKRP. What was?
Oh, the Maytag repairman?
No, the nerdy guy.
Les Nessman.
I think I momentarily could. I think I. Oh God! I think I thought they were the same person at one point. Anyway.
Okay.
No,
Elijah Cook Jr. was in a lot of film noir movies.
I'll have to see more of his stuff because he didn't have a lot to do in this movie.
No. It's a very small scene, but he also was on one episode of the original Star Trek series.
Oh,
plays a lawyer that defends Captain Kirk.
All right. Well, what I was going to say?
Sorry, yeah.
No. What I was going to say is the second character in the second bank robbery is eating an orange, I think.
Oh.
So I don't know. There was some kind of fruit thing going on there. And if Brando was left to his own devices, every scene would have had, later on, if this movie was made later, every scene would have had a different fruit, and he would have had it all themed. But the other thing, too, is there's one scene where he's eating, and he's talking with his mouth full and stuff like that. And I don't know a lot about Brando's early acting, but I think that's another indication of where he's getting this kind of looser, sort of more naturalistic sort of, well, okay, not naturalistic. He got weirder and weirder, but I don't know. He was just experimenting. I think his voice, some of the acting choices he was making in this. The other thing, his character, Rio, I guess, but they called him the Kid because Dad needed the kid. But the other theme he had was, he didn't want to go to the bordello. He's gonna court or be a gentleman caller on some lady, a virginal somebody in town, and he's always got a piece of jewelry that he's stolen, and that's his way of getting kind of a commitment, or maybe going farther with a young lady than they normally would have. But here's this thing. My mother. This is the last thing my mother gave me before she died.
Yeah. He's a real bastard about that.
Yeah, and so
supposedly this story was also very loosely based on the historical figures Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid.
Oh, well, yeah, because I guess originally the script was kind of like the version of that, but in Monterey Bay or something.
Which, of course, was made maybe 10 years later by Sam Peckinpah.
Well, he was one of the. He got
writers.
to use some of his ideas
So
that he came up with.
there are not that many Western stories. They're the
He spent
Pat
6
Jarrett
months
and,
on the script.
There's Pat Jarrett and Billy the Kid. There's all the Wyatt Earp stuff. There's lots of variations, but
Earp.
Yeah, that old Spike Jones song, Wyatt Earp Makes Me Burp.
I don't know. I probably heard it, but I don't know that one.
Not one of their best ones.
It doesn't sound like it. I guess the other scene too is, so he I don't know. We don't need to go into the whole plot, but Carl Malden's character breaks his hand, and they got to go to this. What was that place called? They got to heal up at this. I guess it was owned by some Chinese folks on the shore. It was like
near Monterey Bay.
Puta del Diablo, it was called, which means like Satan's bitch, or I don't know, something. The other relationship that was interesting was Rio's relationship with Chico, his Mexican. I guess they were in the prison for 5 years together.
Yeah, that's right.
But I thought they had a really good rapport. Not this. It wasn't the same thing. There's something very. I can't think of the adjective. I'm not going to say wonderful. That's a terrible adjective. Between the relationship between Brando's character and Malden's character, they're just so at ease with each other, and it's just. But there was definitely a camaraderie, and it wasn't the same thing. But I thought that relationship between those two characters was really cool. And then at the end, I mean, I'm giving it away, I guess, but Chico gets killed. Did you notice at the end, Brando's character is he goes past that same area where Chico is killed, and you kind of see Chico on the cliff.
Yeah, he doesn't see him either.
He goes right over him.
But they went to the trouble to show his body.
I swear the second time I watched it, Chico moved a bit, like he was reaching up.
Maybe. Oh, no.
So I almost need to watch it again, because
I wonder if there's something missing
dead
there too that was cut.
No, that was a good enough little image where it's like he's just going right past his friend, and he doesn't
know that his friend's been killed.
I swear I saw the arm move,
and of course you do know that the ending was changed.
Well, yeah, I mean the studio didn't like
it had a very downbeat ending. So
when Brando initially set out for this whole thing, it was gonna I don't know the exact quote, but destroy all the tropes of westerns and all this, and it ended up being rather. But the studio, they took over at the end after Brando left to go film Mutiny, I think, and it was just taking too long. So they said, no, we're taking control of it, and
I think it down. It was made, actually, I almost call it a 1950s Western, even though it's 61, I think, when it was finished. But the 1950s Westerns are often studied because they have so much of a kind of a transitional theme to them.
Yeah.
And like they kind of take the old stock 1930s or so cardboard characters and stuff like that, and or the other cliches, they're called psychological westerns or things like that. Yeah. but there's a whole series of them that's why I've so far found the westerns made in the 1950s to be the most interesting. Even the ones that are starring really movie star like people who are more stars than actors.
Sure.
like Jimmy Stewart or John Wayne or people like that who often
don't go character
beyond their personas.
They had a persona, right?
Yeah. And which reminds me of I'll come back to this in a second, but even those have pretty complex character things in them.
Well,
that make them really rewarding to study, I think, which is why a lot of them are so interesting. Speaking of that, I recently watched this Orson Welles interview that was done in France in 1983, I think.
Oh, I've watched almost every Orson Welles interview I can find.
You should watch this one. It's long. It's really long.
If I haven't seen it, but it's in French. Was it France?
It's in France. He had just been given some big, thing by Charles de Gaulle or something like that. It was a big deal, a Medal of Freedom or something like that. But
whatever they call it.
And so basically, it's him sitting with a translator in front of an auditorium full of, I think they're mostly film students. They're younger. And,
oh, geez.
And it's just this, and it goes on for like 90 minutes. It's long.
Yeah.
And Orson Welles must have spoken enough French that they don't translate most of the questions. But he speaks the answers in English. So it's actually worth watching because you can pretty much pick up what's going on.
Yeah.
But it's really worth watching all in all. But
where did you see this? I don't think I've seen this one. Is it on the Tube of You?
It's not on YouTube, actually.
That's why I haven't seen it.
Some Cinematiki blah blah blah.
Cinematique. Yeah.
I'll send you the link to it. Or I'll put it in the show notes. Actually, I think it's worth checking out if you're into that stuff.
I love to listen to him. He's
very funny. He can be very self-deprecating. It's very classic Orson Welles. Late. This is early '80s, so
oh geez,
it's wine before its time, and he smokes a lot of cigars and.
But and he loves having an audience.
He obviously really is having a good time, and
and he hadn't had that opportunity for a while. I think.
And it's very obvious that the French, the young film students at the time really adored him. So,
yeah.
But a couple of things he said that were funny was one was he talked about that the difference between movie stars and actors.
Yeah.
And that some movie stars are actors, but they're not the same thing.
Sure.
And I thought that the way he explained it was much better, but I thought it hit it right on when you...
No, I know what you
see
mean.
You watch enough old movies and you see Humphrey Bogart and all these other people that are such personas, as we said before.
Right.
That they're not always even acting, even though there's acting involved. It's different, though.
And then there's this... well, okay.
And the second thing I'll point out that I really thought was... interesting that he talked about was the way he talked about the difference between the cinema and stage acting.
Right.
Was also really striking.
Although some of his films are the sets are almost like a stage, but whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So that and the last thing, the little quip, I think it's at the tail end, but they asked him about Marlon Brando. And
interesting.
And he said, he actually said, I would have played Colonel Kurtz if they'd asked me to, instead of Brando, and I would have been better. and then right before they cut it off, he says, and in The Godfather. Which that would have been great to see what he would have done in that. It's hard to imagine, but
but I love Brando too.
No. It was just the idea of Orson Welles playing Colonel Kurtz in Apocalypse Now.
Well, I just keep thinking of his character in Catch-22, but
exactly.
I as far as acting goes, Brando he got really loose. Like with it, I think I was thinking about that today, actually. but Brando, and there's a few other actors that have that kind of really loose quality, like Jeff Goldblum, and maybe Robert Downey Jr. when he's playing Iron Man. You know what I mean? It's this kind of I don't know how to explain it.
They have this this attitude that they're just kind of hanging with you.
Yeah,
they're not really performing so much,
but
they are.
Right. But sometimes it is very performance-ish, I guess. Like, I mean, Brando in Island of Dr. Moreau or something. But it's not probably a good example of his acting. But freewheeling. Like Jeff Goldblum, his character in, it was in a Thor movie, Rankin' Rock, I think. Fraggle Rock.
Oh, yeah.
But it was hilarious, but it was very loose. I mean, the choices they make.
He was also almost playing a caricature of himself.
I think so.
Much like Brando did when he was in The Freshman.
Right.
Where he played a caricature of his performance in The Godfather, which was almost a caricature of something else.
Well, and even in some other roles like Island of Dr. Moreau, I think that was I don't know what he was doing there, but that was a character. That's not a good example. I should not even bring that movie up ever again. But
don't.
As far as acting goes. But and then you have Val Kilmer kind of imitating him, which was a weird movie.
Speaking of Val Kilmer, did you know that this is the 35th anniversary of the Val Kilmer classic Real Genius?
35th year of that?
Yeah.
Is that one of his first movies?
It's early, I think. I don't think it's... was that before Top Gun?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know a lot about his
maybe
career.
Top Gun was the year before that. I forget.
Supposedly, somebody... Not that we're going to talk about high school in this episode, but...
Thank God.
Supposedly, somebody we went to high school with named Renee dated Val Kilmer for a while.
Whoa.
after Batman, and I don't know. I need
it is
maybe
downward slump.
We'll have to have her as a guest. I am curious.
That's worth its weight in gold, right there.
I am curious about that.
Okay, I would not have guessed that.
I don't know how that came to be or how long they were dating.
And how did that come up in a discussion? Did she post it?
No. Yeah.
Did you randomly ask people if they've dated Val Kilmer? Say, have you ever dated Val Kilmer?
How did that come up? I don't know.
It's a strange thing to come up in conversation.
I think I posted something and she private messaged me and said, "Oh, by the way, I don't know." She wasn't bragging or anything. She just was saying. I mean, I don't know if anyone would brag about dating Val Kilmer, but I don't know. Maybe. But anyway, so we have a connection to Val Kilmer. Sort of.
Okay.
Go Cobblers. I thought that was pretty fun. I don't know.
Is there anything else you've been watching or reading lately? You just...
Well, I did a deep dive into One-Eyed Jack, so that's about it. I'm trying to figure, because I'm into voices, but I cannot, and Brando's voice changes a little bit throughout the movie because it wasn't filmed, of course it wasn't filmed in order sequentially, and he was like 2.5 years older in some scenes than others, but he just had this thing. I don't know. I guess he patterned his voice pattern or his voice a little bit off the voice patterns of Ben Johnson. I think he kind of got into that. What's the main quote there? It's like, "Oh, it's you're a one-eyed Jack around here, Dad. I've seen the other side of your face." I can't do it the voice, but
well, I will be curious.
He almost mumbles.
Yeah.
But that's film acting.
The other good
stage,
quote that the Lucia says when she finds out that he's been lying to her. He says, or she says, "You only shame yourself."
Yeah, that's a great line. And another line, Ben Johnson's character says, when he's convalescing at Puta del Diablo, trying to heal up to kill Carl Malden's character. They're there for weeks, just waiting around, throwing, Ben Johnson's character is throwing rocks in pebbles in a cup, but he just gets fed up with waiting and for him to get better, and his hand isn't going to get better. This isn't working, and he says something like, I guess I should look up the real quote, but basically, I don't think you're the big hired gun now anymore. And Brando's character says, well, you could put 6 bullets into me in the time I'd get 1 into you. But basically saying, I'm not quoting it right, but basically saying, yeah, we're both going to die. Do you want to go there? So I don't know. That was a good line too. There's some other, and you don't know how much of which one was ad-libbed and what, but that was a good line.
And of course,
I butchered it, but
Brando had to have that scene where he is whipped.
Oh yeah. Well, it wasn't quite as
I mean, that seemed very
Mel
indulgent,
Gibson.
but
It wasn't Mel Gibson. It wasn't Mel Gibson-ish, but it was.
No, but it was maybe inspiration for Mel Gibson being tortured or something like that.
Or that scene from let's put to a song in Jesus Christ Superstar.
Oh, the 39 Lashes.
Remember we
did.
did.
No, I'm sure he was.
We stole that a little bit.
Christ-like, yeah.
In one of our little mini tape, in one of our little mini tapes, we had
that's
counting. It was like a children's show, and they were counting to that.
We're gonna count to 39 for a kids show. God, we're such assholes.
I don't know. That was pretty funny. I think my kids would like that. But yeah, no, the whipping scene. But that one,
and Malden just has this glee in his face.
Malden's character is really strange in this movie, and I almost need to watch it again because I can't. He's such a fucking asshole. I don't know. I know that in the original script, Brando was Dad's character was originally written as the only character in the movie that never lied. But of course, the studio had to make it more cut and dry because he wasn't. They had to make him the bad guy.
No. Malden's character, not Brando's.
No, if I said that, I meant it the other way around. Yeah. So Malden's character had to become more, Dad was the only character that never lied in the original script, according to Brando, and so that one scene that was probably added on later, or recut later, refilmed later, or filmed later after the movie had even wrapped. I think that a few scenes had been refilmed, but he basically lies. Says, yeah, when I left you there I couldn't do anything. And Brando knows he's lying because he saw all the other horses there when he was there with the Federales. I don't know.
Oh, when he was, yeah, exactly.
When he first got arrested.
Right.
We're jumping all over.
Federales.
All the Federales say you could have had him any day. That's a good song. Jeez.
Yeah. Crazy.
Well, I wanted to, if I ever have 2 dogs, I'm going to name them Pancho and Lefty, but I don't know.
That's almost as good as Frankenstein.
That was the 2 cats.
Yeah.
We let
That's hard to beat, though.
Well, but it was weird after Frank passed because then we just had a Stein, so you had to kind of explain it. But
why would you name your cat Stein?
Steen. Our current cats were named by the children when they were younger. It was Meep and Snickers. So.
Well, at least you don't have an animal named Phyllis.
No. That would be weird.
Does, yeah. That's one of my. Well, okay.
Phyllis.
So
Wait.
I
which
have,
sister?
Megan. Megan has a dog. Right. Megan has a dog named Phyllis.
What's the other dog's name?
Sneakers.
Oh, that's right.
That's no.
That that was
cool
the name.
Too. No, but
I think that was the names they came with, right?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
And I have a sister-in-law who has a cat whose name is Karen.
Karen.
It's such a funny name for a cat.
Is that before all this meme stuff?
I don't think it was named for the meme.
The Karens. Oh, there's a good.
Was Karen the cat named for a meme, or was it just independent of that?
Well, it became associated with "I need to talk to your manager," a woman that would do that.
Was Karen the cat named for the internet meme?
Oh, you're asking? I thought you were asking me.
No, I don't think it was connected. It's just a happy accident.
That's the story of my life. One big happy accident. Just Timbo here again. I was a stuntman on One-Eyed Jacks. I fell off a horse. And let's see, what else? And I think I was in some other Westerns. I was in some other Westerns. I kind of specialized in falling off horses. Anyway, back to the show.
Hi, MJ. Say something else that I can keep sampling.
She's working.
Oh. She's working for a living. She's taking what they're
working
giving.
For the weekend.
She's working for Lisa Gibbons.
Who isn't? Are you watching the convention this week?
No, it's even more like an infomercial than they were before. But yeah. I saw part of.
Parts of it are better, but other things are not very interesting because you don't see all the weirdos on the convention floor they talk to. And all that
I miss that. Or also just you don't hear the crowd reaction. And I don't know how the Republicans are going to do that. They're going to have maybe they'll do it because Trump needs that. He can't speak without somebody cheering or something. I don't know. So maybe they'll have the cardboard cutouts and the pipe sound like the Major League Baseball. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe they'll have a whole bunch of people paid to hang out. All the people who live in Trump Tower will do that. Of course, it'll be done by the time this airs. So.
Right, maybe.
That's stupid.
If I was staging the Republican National Convention, I'd have Clint Eastwood come back and just speak to all the empty chairs.
I see. They could make something really funny out of that if they had a sense of humor. But I don't think. I think I heard Eastwood doesn't like Trump. So.
I don't even know. I mean, I don't even know what he was trying to do with his. I think he was just improvising, I guess.
Yeah,
Obama was an empty chair or something, or it was weird. That was a very strange.
That was referenced the other night on some MSNBC person mentioned that as a joke.
Well,
people still remember it. I'll give it to him.
Yeah, famous or infamous, or I don't know. If we ever had him as a guest, I would try to ask what the hell were you thinking, or what was your motivation? No. I wouldn't ask that, but I think he didn't have anything prepared. I think he just, there's an empty chair here. I'm going to start talking to it.
He might have thought he was being profound. I don't know.
It's hard to tell. Clint Eastwood you think he'd know better, but I don't. Speaking of Westerns, man. See, that's one thing. Every now and then you see a Western where you think, that's the last Western ever made, like Unforgiven. I think when I saw Unforgiven, I was like, no. That's the end of the Westerns. But, and I don't know why I thought that, but it was like the pinnacle, or it was like answering everything, and it was like all wrapped up in a bow, and that's the Western. Okay. But there's so many different kinds of Westerns and Vespers. There you go, 2 Vespers. So many different kinds of Westerns and variations. I mean, there's only a few themes, but how many stories are there? I mean, how many, what was 6 or something? I don't know we'll have to have a literary person show up here, but there's only so many.
You know one?
What, a story line?
A literary person?
Well, we could have Leon. Lee might know the 6 stereo or prototype storylines or something. Shakespeare, I mean, he only had, I don't know what the number is, 6 or 9 or something, 69. But there's only so many of these themes to draw from, and this film guy, Will Wright, didn't he also make Sim City, or was that a different guy? Anyway, whatever. But he mentions 4, but I think there's 7. See, I can't remember the number. There's only 7 storylines.
These were just Western plot categories.
Yeah, but I'm guessing there's 7. Anyway, whatever.
7 muchachos.
Well, that was the other thing with the movie One-Eyed Jacks is they'd have nicknames. So if you just watch it, it's like, what is that character's actually? What is his name? What is his name? Because like Chico, I had to look it up because I was like, what is Chico's? What is Brando's sidekick's name? Because it's like sometimes he's called Chico, and I think sometimes he's called Churro, and sometimes he's I don't know all the different. I think so. And
like a Taco John's.
I don't know what that.
See, I managed to work Taco John's into the show.
They didn't have churros when we were kids, but I'm guessing that that word can mean a lot of different. Like the word taco can mean 140 different things depending on how you use it. But Chico means kid in Spanish, I think. So Kid Rio, whose nickname is Kid,
yeah,
or the Kid, calls his friend Chico, or Churro, and then the other scene at the end would be right before they kill Chico. They start calling him Greaser and that kind of thing, and I think that was a later kind of slang for Mexican Americans, because I don't know in the Wild West that they went around calling them greasers. But whatever. We can edit this out.
The narrator can tell us.
Yeah.
Well, I never called them that. I never call anybody anything. I didn't never even call anybody. I never had a quarter. Now people have the cell phones. I get that, but no, I didn't call people names or that kind of thing. I call them their name. Sometimes somebody have a nickname. Like, I don't think my name is really Timbo, but people call me Timbo for so long that I, to be honest, I don't even really know what my name is. Anyway, that's enough of that. Back to the show.
Or we'll just cut it out.
Yeah, cut this.
Can't cut this. Da-na-na-na. Well, there. Wow, that was a deep dive.
I just got a dirty look here. No guest.
It's
Except
her.
you.
Come on over. Come on, Mary Jane. Mary Jane K.
Special guest, Mary Jane K.
Speaking of Mary Jane.
Speaking of that. Smoke 'em if you got 'em.
Different smokes.
Different smokes.
Fine. Maybe we're done.
I'm not smoking.
No, I didn't say you were. I know better. You cut all of that out, Noel. Oh, my God.
The only smoke John does is in his scotch.
In my scotch, yeah. Exactly.
In my scotch. That was one of my favorite Beach Boys songs. So.
All right.
Wow. Oh, no. We're getting into free association mode.
Yeah, I gotta go do something about dinner, I guess.
I got to go see a man about a horse.
Okay.
Or a hoss.
Hoss.
So wait, first before we go, what are all the euphemisms you know about going to the taking a pee? Seeing a man about a horse.
That's a big one.
That's what she did.
Gotta go make some water.
Make some water. I can't think of any. Everyone submit your comments.
We'll have a contest.
You could win.
You can be a guest on our next episode.
And a gift certificate to Taco John's. So, all right,
I would
fine.
pony up for that. Yeah.
Pony. I want to see a man about a pony. That's probably more accurate for some of us. All right, everybody.
All right.
Good night. That's all I got.
That's all I got too.
I was always thinking of Bleeding the Lizard. Anyway, hey kids, hope you all enjoyed the show. Timbo here signing off with the boys, Phil and John, and you know what comes next. Time for a Time to Lean flashback.
Here's the song.
sewed, and 6 feet under is my abode. I don't feel like killing, but there are those willing to fall by my gun, and it might be fun. Before I shoot, I walk in his boots to live his life, his joys and his strife. I'll live by the code till the last seed is sowed, and 6 feet under is my abode. I'll live by the code till the last seed is sowed, and 6 feet under is my abode. I wouldn't lie, some deserve to die. You learn to tell by their smell if they're going to hell. The code, it does say, help them on their way, and they won't live to see another day. I'll live by the code till the last seed is sowed, and 6 feet under is my abode. I'll live by the code till the last seed is sowed, and 6 feet under is my abode. The code was an instinct not taught in school. He learned it before the golden rule. But the code's blown away like an old tumbleweed just now, when the code is what we really need. I'll live by the code till the last seed is sowed, and 6 feet under is my abode. I'll live by the code till the last seed is sowed, and 6 feet under is my abode. The cowboy code